Jerry Jones was the co-captain of Arkansas's national championship team, a squad that rallied in the game's waning minutes of the 1965 Cotton Bowl Classic to drive 80 yards for the winning touchdown in a 10-7 victory over Nebraska. Years later, he played a pivotal role in yet another comeback of major significance. Football fans know about his success with the Dallas Cowboys and that made him an NFL Hall of Famer, but they may not be aware of his intense passion for the Cotton Bowl Classic. During the construction of AT&T Stadium, Jones extended an invitation to the Bowl's leadership to play the Classic in his new state-of-the-art palace. He knew that a roof or a new stadium was the missing component to solidifying the game's future. His behind-the-scenes efforts helped the Classic take an important and otherwise impossible step toward restoring its position among the elite of postseason college football. Today we honor Jerry Jones for that memorable championship game in 1965 and the enormous impact he's made on the Classic's success by inducting him into the Cotton Bowl Hall of Fame.
Well, good afternoon, and my distinguished teammates. It's great to be on the team with you. Each and every one of you have such a part of this game in your blood, and it's just a privilege to be associated with you forevermore. When I think of the Cotton Bowl, you just saw a picture that goes back those many years. And walking out with me that day was my wife, Jean, who's sitting right down with us. We didn't know that picture had been taken, and we were ahead there in the last few seconds, and they invited the wives and significant others. But with them today is my daughter, Charlotte, and my daughters-in-law, Lori Jones and Karen Jones. Thank you all for being here to support me. Very much. I've always known, because I experienced it, what football can do. Most of it is not smiles. It's a physical game, but it's a hard work game. And if you're looking for 95% enjoyment, you picked the wrong direction to go. It really is about a small percentage at the top, where it all becomes worth it. My reason for cherishing this honor today, and I do want to thank the Cotton Bowl and the committee and the staff to be included here. But this game was so special to me in a lot of ways. Obviously, I played the game with my teammates. And those teammates, because we've got to celebrate a happening that really none of us ever thought it could happen to us. We read about it, we dreamed about it, but never thought it could happen to you. We went down to Austin, met the mighty Longhorns. They were #1 in the nation. And we were able to get out of there with a win. And when we flew back to those hills of Arkansas, Texas was #1. We were not the same cats anymore. We looked in that mirror and something had changed. And we were 18, 19, 20 years old. And it did change. And it was manifested that day, January 1st, 1965, when we lined up against those Nebraska Cornhuskers and got out of there with a win and an experience that is changed my life. Yes, this is a meaningful thought and award, and I thank everybody involved with it. My experiences were, when we got to Houston, because our coach Brawls did not want us to be practicing in Dallas. That's where it was January 1st, New Year's. They knew it'd be partying going on and families, and they wanted to move you away from all that activity and have you down there where you were practicing. Well, when we were practicing during the week, and we practiced for a week, Coach Brawls, our coach, arranged for a field trip to give us a break. And he took us over to a new building. It was called the Astrodome, the ninth wonder of the world, the Astrodome. And we walked in that Astrodome, and as a 19-year-old, I looked around that Astrodome, and it was like you were on Mars. And you thought, how could you even think about playing ball? This place is so unbelievable. And 30 days later, they played the first baseball game in that Astrodome. And then I thought, where does this come from? Where do these ideas come from? How do people think of this stuff? And where would you start? Where do you put the first screw? How do you do it? All that was going through a 19-year-old's mind at the time. And yes, we moved from there. We came to Dallas, and we did win that Cotton Bowl game. But ladies and gentlemen, at 19-year-old, recall that experience. Roll the clock forward 35 years later, and I'm with the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm thinking about, what are we going to do to make the Cowboys even more special? What can I do? And I started thinking about going in that Astrodome. I started thinking about that thrill, and I got the same thrill. I get emotional here, but I got the same thrill. And so I started thinking, and I engaged my family, and we got together, and we started coming up because I knew it could happen, because I'd seen it done before. I walked in there when I was 19 years old, and I saw it done. And so we began building what is you're sitting in today called AT&T Stadium. And as this happens with young people, some 35 years later, you can put 5 of them damn Astrodomes inside this one right here. That's what the game, that's what being involved, that's the kind of inspiration that can be involved there. My coach, Frank Brawls, Houston Nutt, we both were so honored to have him, not only as a colleague, but a friend. Houston coached there while his time with the Razorbacks. But Coach Brawls would say to his young players, he'd hold that hand up and those 4 fingers, the fourth quarter. And he'd say, men, anybody can do it when you first run out on the field. You got your socks taped up, you're all ready to go, your shirt tails in, you just look in the mirror, you're looking good, you're going out to play. Everybody looks good. First quarter, you get a hit, you get bumped around a little bit, maybe a lot. Get down to the half, you go in, your old forehead's cut and bleeding because that helmet's coming down on it. All of a sudden, you're starting feeling some aches and pains. You get to the third quarter and it starts laboring. Those old legs keep going, but you're full of that adrenaline. And you get down to it and it's all on the line. It's called the fourth quarter. You're not pretty anymore. It's not fun anymore. It's time to put the work in. And it's time to realize that guy may not want it as bad as you do. It's called the fourth quarter. Well, I was inspired because I got to play for a coach that also knew how to do that when he was 70 and talk to people like me 20 years younger and talk about the fourth quarter of life. And he wrote a book on how to care for people with Alzheimer's. And he had those kinds of thinking because I knew he knew what he was talking about, because when I was 19, I heard him talk about the fourth quarter. And it's not that much fun anymore. Football does that and did that for me. Today, I want to thank y'all for being here. I know we're here to also honor all of our inductees. But it has truly been inspirational, and truly an inspiration to get to be a part of this team I'm sitting with up here today and all the others that have been inducted before. Thank you very much.